Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Rachel Klein, and I will be your presenter today. Today, we are talking about adding people or adding individuals into the donations module. So it's pretty slick. If you're in the middle of entering a batch, you can easily hit the plus sign and you can add someone into donations as a donations giver, or you can even create that new person so they exist over in membership and also show up in the donations module. All right, let's go ahead and get started here. I'm going to open up donations. And the main, I should say, the most beneficial way to me when adding or needing to add an individual is going to occur when you're entering donations. Okay, so I kind of wanted to use that for our example today. Now, you can definitely come up here to the top under givers and you can hit add individual or add group. Okay, there's actually a couple places here in donations that you can add someone to exist in the database. If you come up here under givers and you click add individual, you're going to get two options. Okay, you're going to get add a donations individual giver and add a membership individual. If we hit add group, you're only going to get the one option. It's going to be to add a group giver. Okay. Now, before we dive too deep in the process of adding, I want to explain to you what the different type of givers are and the different purposes or the different uses for the different types of givers you may encounter. Okay, so I'm going to do that first by going into Manage Givers. Manage Givers is going to be a great tool or a great screen to show you the different types of givers that you have. Okay, when someone is put in over in the membership module, okay, they are considered a membership individual. They could be in a household by themselves or they could be in a household with the rest of their family. When you look here in Manage Givers and you refer to this MemDon Giver column, this is going to tell you at a glance, super quick, what type of giver they are. Okay, so if they have an MEM in this column, this record is being pulled from the membership module over here into the donations module. Okay, so any changes you need to make to that specific record or make them inactive, what have you, you're going to have to go over into membership to do that. It says that right here on the screen. Now, if you have a DON here for donations giver, this tells you that this record exists only in donations as a donations giver. Okay, so if we were to go over to membership and we were going to go look for Jack, we're not going to find Jack's donations giver record in the membership module. It doesn't exist. Okay, what are some examples of when you would want to have a donations giver? So I tell customers on the phone or users on the phone that if you have someone who you know isn't going to join your church, who already has a church home, maybe they're just there for a memorial, maybe they were there for a fundraising event of some sort, and you don't think they have any interest in joining the church. That's fine, but maybe they made a donation and you still need to track that gift for them. That would be a perfect example of when you would want to add someone into donations as a donations giver. That way they don't exist over a membership. If you come across a visitor or somebody new that starts giving and you're not quite sure where that's going to fall for them, you can always add them in membership and give them a visitor category. That's an option too. There really isn't a right or wrong answer. At the end of the day, you can take your donations giver and transfer them into membership and make them a membership individual if you want to, and you can do vice versa. So at the end of the day, you're not locked in with how you initially enter them, but I think it's important to have kind of a process of some consistency for where you enter people, whether you always enter them as a visitor and then decide later, or whether, if you know this person does not join in, this is a one-time gift, I'm going to just put them in as a donations giver. Okay, so understanding the different types of givers is important so you then know how you want to put them into the database moving forward. Okay, all right, that's my little spiel on that. Let's close out of here. So let's go into enter donations and let's pretend that we're going through our batch and we're entering our donations for this past Sunday, and we come across someone and we type in their name. I'm just going to do it myself here. And as you start typing, There's no results. Okay, they don't come up in here. They're not in the software. If this happens to you, what I would do first is I would check the inactive box just to double check, just to make sure, type that name in again. Inactive box is going to pull in anybody that has been marked inactive. They have left the church for whatever reason, whether you marked them inactive in managed givers because they're a donations giver, or whether you marked them inactive over in membership as a membership individual. This checkbox is going to allow you to do a more thorough search of the database to see if they were ever in here. I highly recommend checking the inactive box and typing the name in again, just in case that record's already in there. It's going to help you from or it'll help avoid creating a duplicate for someone, okay? So I type a name in, no results. There's nothing here. This Rachel Klein, me, doesn't exist in the database. I made a donation. I made a substantial donation. So I need to be able to track this gift, okay? So what you're going to do, you're going to follow the line over to the right, and you're going to come across this little green plus sign. Once you click that plus sign, you have three options to decide what type of giver you want this person to be. Okay, we'll go through both, but you could do a membership individual. Again, this person is going to be creating a membership, and then their information will carry over into donations. So they'll have that mem in the manage giver screen. You can create them as a group giver, donations giver, or you can create them as an individual giver, which again, these ones that have the donations, these only exist in the donations module. You're not going to see them in membership. Okay. So let's do add membership individual first. As soon as I click that, I'm getting a new screen. This screen is pulled from the membership side. So this is going to allow me to fill in that membership information even though I'm working over in the donations module. Now, keep in mind, if you have access to donations, but you have zero access to membership based on your login for Church Windows, you're going to have restrictions on how and when you can add people. If that's the case, you can't add membership people, then you're fine to do the donations giver option and enter them that way. Okay? All right, first thing you have to do is choose if you're adding this person to an existing family. So maybe Rachel Klein, maybe my husband Mitch is already in membership. I could choose existing and choose the Mitch Klein family. Or typically you're going to do a new family. So I'm going to keep that option. Always have to choose your family category. So you have to tell Church Windows, are they a member or visitor? We're going to go with visitor. Mailing label. This is that family name that you have to put in. For you, if you know that it's a couple, you're putting in, Bob and Sally Smith, you could make the mailing label Bob and Sally Smith. All of this can be edited and changed later. You're just kind of focusing on the basics right now, okay? What you know. You might not know that much about them because they're new, right? So mailing label, you can keep that as is. Address, you can put an address in if you know it by hitting the green plus sign. If you don't know their address, you can simply skip over that. Whoops, that's not road. I'm just gonna put the office in here. Okay. Easy peasy. Add the address if you know it. Again, if you don't, skip right over it. Phone number, if you know it, feel free to put that in. Again, don't skip over it. Mailing code, geographic area, these are all optional fields. If you use them, feel free to put them in. And then you have open comments field. Over here to the right, this is the individual information. So in membership, you kind of have to build the house first, and then you put the people into the house. So here's the house or the family on the left. We did that. We created that record. And now we can bounce over here to the right and put in the individual's information. So I'm again put Rachel in here. You know a nickname, middle name, feel free to fill all that in. And again, if you don't know it, that's fine. It's not required. You can go back and do it later. Now, this field is important though. This is probably required in your database. Directory report order. This is who this person is within the family. So if you've worked in membership at all, you should know directory report order is crucial. It's like a very important field. So the software knows who's who within the family. So if Rachel is the only person that I'm putting into the database, Rachel is automatically the primary. So any singleton, any household, their family that you've created membership that only has one person, that person by default is your primary person, okay? I'm going to choose primary. If you want them in the directory or not, you can check that. You can add comments, okay? At this point, you can add this person and be done, okay? If you know that Rachel has a spouse or a child or someone else in their family that you want to add, simply click this add another individual. This screen is going to repopulate empty and it's going to allow you to put that next person in. Okay, so you can create the whole family and set their directory report order right here while you're entering a batch. Okay. For time's sake, we're just going to say add this individual and close. And now we can see Rachel Klein has a V because I put the visitor category, and I can continue to go through and enter my donations like normal. So real easy, I can get that gift entered, okay? And now if we were to go over in the membership module, we will be able to find Rachel Klein's record, right? Now, next example, let's say we're putting somebody else in. We type in a name. We still have our inactive box checked. We have nothing, okay? And let's say, again, for example, I know Eli isn't joining my church. He's just making the one-time donation. Fair enough. Come over here to the right, hit the green plus sign, add donations individual giver. I don't need this record in membership. Screen's going to look different, okay, because it's just working in donations. We're not pulling in those membership fields. If you want to assign a giver number on the fly, you can. If you don't want to, you don't know what numbers you need to use, or you don't use giver numbers at all, just skip over it. Fill in the information that you know, and that's all donations is going to require of you here on this screen. Again, if you have an address, hit that little plus sign and pop that information in there if you want to. Hit add giver, finished. Again, you can continue to add more people if you need to. But now we see Eli here in the list. He has the D after his name, which is telling us he is in fact a donations giver. And then easy peasy, I can continue to go through and pop in my donation. Okay. Add to batch. Now, donations group giver. This is very similar to the individual giver. It just allows you to put in a group name instead of having a first, middle, and last name. The givers are handled exactly the same, whether they're a group giver or an individual giver. It's just up to you. A lot of people will do a group giver option if they have like a business or maybe another church or something in the community, some type of organization that's making a donation. You could put in the donations group giver. But in hindsight, the program does not care or treat them any differently if they're a group giver or an individual giver. Okay, just a different way to organize people and companies. Okay, but that's it. So if we close out of here, and I'll just save my batch, say we'll come back to it later. And we go back into manage givers now, and I look for Rachel. You see right here, Rachel Klein. We have that V for visitor, member. That's our art that tells us whether they exist in membership or donations. And then here's our Elias that we put in as well. He's got the D because he's a donations giver. Okay. So whomever's entering your donations or putting those batches in after Sunday, that green plus sign there is a really easy tool on the fly to be able to create a record. There's also a green plus sign here in Manage Givers. If you want to add somebody, you can do it right here as well. Add a membership individual, add a donations individual giver. And then if you go to the Families and Groups tab, there's a green plus sign here, and that's to add that group giver. So lots of places to put people in to donations. But again, I would figure out some procedure, some consistency sake idea of how are we going to kind of define those different givers, and then what process are we going to follow when we enter them. And if for some reason you accidentally goof something up, here's a transfer option here up at the top. I did a whole webinar on that. If you have any donations givers that you're wanting to push over in the membership as well, here's that transfer to membership button that will help you do that. And there's like I said, there's a video out there on the Resource Center you can watch. Okay? All right. Stopped a little bit early. That's everything that I wanted to go over with you guys today about adding groups and adding individuals and donations.